Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. This is the Social Glue panel. Now, wait a minute. I got to get my sheet that I have to read. So, good afternoon, and welcome to the CALLERLAB Convention, the 41st CALLERLAB Convention in Reno, Nevada. Today is Monday, April 15th, and this is the Social Glue session. I am Pam Clasper, your moderator, and your panelists are Sharon Parker and Bear Miller. I'll give them little further introductions soon. Yeah, just in case you couldn't tell. Just in case you couldn't tell. So I am not a caller, but I have been dancing for almost 41 years. I dance all programs and love all of them. And they have asked me to moderate this session. So we have two handouts up here, so please help yourselves. Yes, Bear? Yes, I do sleep with the chairman. I've done that for 44 years. We're not going there. This is a different kind of social. No, don't do that. That's no fun. Anyway, many of us at some times just get involved with the dancing. And I was given a quote at lunch, which I have known from before, and it's very, very true. Standing on this thing, they've got it 16 miles long. Anyway, the quote is, because as we know, we're losing people to dancing, but the quote that I heard, which was wonderful, is, people may quit square dancing, but they never quit their friends. And keeping those friendships going is maybe a large part of what might keep people square dancing, and bringing your friends and keeping the friendships and keeping the fun in our activity and the social side of our activity. I mean, we have fun dancing and kibitz with the collar and things like that, but it's the whole social aspect of it is still a big part of the activity for all of us. So we've got sort of an outline of things on the handout, and we've got new dancer events like what we used to call one-night stands, to keep your theme going, party nights, a new dancer program, events at club dances, club social events, theme nights, all these things. So this is the kind of thing we're going to talk about and things that we do. So I'm going to get Sharon to sort of start talking about some of the things they do. So Sharon is from the middle of California. I need my glasses to read the name of your town. I've got it written down. Manteca. So she is a music educator. She's been teaching and cueing in the round dance activity since 1975, and is a member of CALLERLAB, has been on the board of directors and the executive committee. Her husband, Casey, is a square dance caller and has been calling since 1975. And her daughter, Ashley, is a vocal major and working on her teaching credentials at college, and is also a lovely up-and-coming caller. So, Sharon, we'll get you to start talking.
Thank you. To add to that, my father was a square dance caller as well, or is retired. He's still with me, thank heavens, but he was a square dance caller. And one of the things when she mentioned social glue that I realized, started thinking about things, is my dad's club, square dance club, many years ago, were very socially active club. They would go out to dinner regularly as a group. And it didn't matter who was in the club, everyone was always invited. There was always somebody to give them that invitation. Nobody was left feeling like they were left out. Even if they were kind of the person in the club that stayed by themselves and people kind of didn't always feel comfortable going and talking to, and they would include them. They would make them feel welcome, and then they eventually came out of their shell. Those people, those that are still with us, still meet on a regular basis. None of them can dance, but they still meet on a regular basis. They keep in contact with each other. They know how each other is doing. Dancing has gone by the wayside. So when you start building the social aspects of your club, you're building a life for some of these people. And that's important in what we do. One of the things our clubs in our area did back when we started, there was a number of clubs that they did a lot of going to other clubs, dancing, stealing the banner, which a lot of clubs still do. But we had a summer day that we would all meet as different clubs in the same basic parks, and we would have baseball games, competition between clubs. Picnic in the park, come play our game, and we would have like this little mini tournament going on. And we'd keep track every year who won the tournament that year, and you had credit for the year that you won the tournament. And it would build and go from there. Clubs would have costume nights and invite the other clubs and make it a point of inviting the other clubs. When we had friends in those other clubs, we also had dancers at our dance. So we build that our program by being social with not only our club, but being social with the other clubs out there, because that's another avenue of friendship as well. Our club, we seem to get the people that like to pick on us. I would never know why. But they had a habit of, when we first started, you'd go in your pajamas and wake up the caller in the middle of the night and make them get out and call to you, right? Well, people don't do that anymore because the neighbors are going to be watching and call the police on you nowadays. So they found other ways to get even with us, and we'd bought a new house, and the club as a whole, unbeknownst to us, decided we had laid new sod in our front yard. So we had gone to do a festival. We came back, and our whole front yard had been stabbed with white plastic forks. About a foot apart, in a nice straight line pattern, offset. It looked like Arlington National from the air. Now, this one, who seems to open her mouth at the wrong time, or the right time, as some would say, and say whatever comes to my mind. At club, I said, I really thank all of you for all those forks you left for me in my front yard. That's what you're using for your cake tonight. I'm still using the forks. Throw them away. We don't need them. I've got more. I'm still got forks. But in the process, I said, but I've got all these forks. I don't have any knives or spoons. Valentine's Day, I got spoons. A big wreath of spoons and a big basket of spoons and this big sign, big letters that says, just spooning around. The neighbors across the street got curious what was going on. They saw the forks come up. They saw the spoons show up. They'd see funny things tied off our light post in the front yard. They decided to come over one day while we were gone and throw a party in my front yard. We were at a festival. My dad was in on this, by the way. Had a key to my house, so you know whose bathroom they were using during their party. Plugged into my front yard, set up their lounge chairs, set up their barbecue, had a whole party going on in my front yard. Well, they managed to take pictures and show me and send them to us later and said, sorry, you missed the party. So if you get them to bond together, which is what they were doing, they have a pointed outcome of let's get them. What can we do next, right? The last thing they did, one of them, was they found a grocery store who was remodeling. And you know those big signs around the wall, the letters, dairy, meat, bread. They got all those letters. And they painted them pretty colors. They put them on a stake. And they put in our front yard, Casey and Sharon slept here. That neighbor across the street that kept an eye on our place, thank heavens for her, she elbows her daughter and says, go see what it says. I can't read it from here. I'm not going over there. I don't know what happens over there. So we weren't involved with their partying, but we were getting them to party together. We did progressive dinners, different times of the year. Different couples would sign up to do, I'll do the appetizer, I'll make the soup, I'll make the main course, I'll make dessert, we'll have drinks over here. And we'd all kind of carpool at a spot, and we'd wagon train over to this house and start, and we'd have our little hurrah at that house, and we'd wagon train to the next one and have our little hurrah over there. And by the end of the night, we were all full fun and had lots of friends. But again, we invited everybody. Nobody was left out, and if they didn't want to be a house we went to, we didn't want to impose that on it. We had people that would volunteer to do that. Casey and I, in appreciation for our club members, once did a full dinner at the house, and we had a long room that we left empty with a wood floor to use as our practice room. And we set up a very long table, and we invited them to a sock hop. Well, we had put socks on the legs of all the chairs because I didn't want them to scratch my floor. Okay? And the dinner we prepared was a dinner where they didn't know what was going to be served. So we gave them their menu, and I had people in the club helping me cook and people in the club helping me serve. and their menu was square dance calls. And they had to order 4 items at a time. And the waitress would come around and take their order. You had their name on a piece of paper, and they'd mark their order and take it to the kitchen. The kitchen would fill their order, and they'd bring it back. They didn't know what they were ordering. One person got a fork, a plate, a cup. There wasn't necessarily anything in it. And so, maybe a hot dog, a little piece of one of those little mini hot dog things. Okay, your next order is. And it went. By the time the night was done, they had their full dinner. They just didn't know how or when they were going to get it. One person got a nice plate of food, but they had no silverware to eat it with. So the laughter just went on and on. Wait a minute. You ordered what? How did you order to get that? I want that one next. So they just had a wonderful, wonderful time. So you never know what craziness you can come up with to make things fun for your dancers. And the fun and the talking is what it's going to be about. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. Lots of good ideas there, and we're probably going to get a lot more in once. This is what I'm looking for. Dana looked after us. Thanks, Ben. So next, I'm going to get Bear to talk to you a bit. Bear is from Denver. He's in his first year of calling. He's on the Board of Governors. He is an accredited caller coach. He's chairman of the Mainstream Committee. And I have a wonderful quote that he has given.
Uh-oh.
No, you emailed this to me.
Oh, I sent this to
fine.
you.
Yes, this is fine.
Silly me.
Silly you. In my time in square dancing, I have come to believe that sometimes we lose sight of the reasons we started dancing in the first place. Great music, good friends, and tons of fun. That is why in my calling, those are the most important ingredients in my performance. And I mean, I can't think of any better ingredients. Great music, good friends, and tons of fun. And that's what I know Bear delivers. So over to you, Ben.
Thanks, Pam. Hi. Good to see y'all. When I think about social glue and what ties things together, it's about interacting with people and how we do that. And sometimes as callers, we tend to we almost get a barrier sometimes. That stage, that microphone, a speaker right in front of you will create a barrier. And so sometimes you have to be able to step out and overcome that barrier. But it's all about having a good time because that's what brings people to what we do. That's what brings them back. We can go in and do a party dance for a group. They're going to see us one night. That's all they're going to get out of it. But even during that night when I do a party dance, we make sure we take times out for socialization. And I help in socialization because I'm a bit of a nut. For those of you who don't know me. Those of you who do know me, just nod your head and say, roll your eyes back and say, yeah, he is. But anyway, it's all about that. And it's all about putting thoughts in their heads to make a conversation about what they're going to talk about the next time. What kind of music you're going to use. What's the age group you're going to do with the party dance you're going to do. Are they all going to be in their 40s and 50s? They're all going to be in their 60s and 70s. And have music that they're going to be going, instead of, sometimes you want to go to a Western hoedown type thing, and I understand that. But most of the time when we do that kind of stuff, we're going and we're hitting an age group. And if I can use music that those people grew up with when they were in high school and college, I win. Because all of a sudden they're going, oh, I know that song. I know what's going on. If I'm doing kids, I'm going to use things that they're going to have. So my selection of music when I do a party dance, when I do a demo, is strictly to the audience I have at that time. Which then, if I'm doing music that brings them back to high school if they're in their 50s, guess what they're going to talk about over on the side? They're going to talk about what was happening in their life during that music. And how much more can you get when you've touched them with that starts that feeling of, I was back in school and my boyfriend took me out in his car and, I'm trying to behave. I really am, okay? If I go too far, Pam, keep that microphone close, okay? But, and I am edgy. I'm on the edge and I don't like to offend people, but I believe in being edgy and that's part of the humor that I have. And most people, when I talk about it, they do roll their eyes, but they are the ones smiling and laughing at the same time. So anyway, so you want to have those kind of things. So you're creating that social thing with your music and what you're doing. Now, if you're out doing a demo, what do you do for that? You can't create social things then, can you? Well, sure you can. Because you just once again want to touch everybody that you're doing the demo. Now, if you're out doing a parade, you're out doing something else, you have anywhere from 4 years old to 90 years old. I've got to touch all of them. And we have a great man in our organization here, Mr. Mike Hogan, who works for a radio company, who last year did a presentation on Know Your Audience. And he has these 7 different genres of music that are most popular in the radio today. No matter what age, no matter what area, what's popular across the country. And they're almost broken up into 7 equal pieces. So if you're going to do a demo, if your caller can have one of each of those 7 kinds of music that those people are going to hear, even if you're doing short snippets of them, it's going to touch them there that, oh, wait a minute, this activity's for me. I feel a connection then. And if you have a connection, you can go from there. So anyway, look up Mike's stuff because it's fabulous stuff, but it's hard. And he's great because he not only tells you the genre, but he gives some samples of who they are and what they do. And for some callers, that's out of their comfort zone, and I realize that. But most of us can call patter to just most anything, and sometimes you take my mind's gone blank. Surprise. A Bruno Mars tune, and just do some patter over the top of it because you know that it's been cut into a couple of square dance tunes now. One on Ego Records to plug him, but he got Bruno Mars. So if you get that record and actually put on, 2 minutes of that record, the people in the audience from that age group are going to recognize that music. Nobody else might. We might not, but those people will. And therefore, you've reached out and touched them. And it's phenomenal if you can touch them, how you can get them interacting with each other then, once again. And that's the whole thing to this whole social glue. New dancer nights, when we get out and actually after we got them into square dancing and playing with them, my club in Denver, we get together in the summer and plan the whole next year and have a theme for every dance. Extensive themes, not always. Minor themes, yes. This year we did, every month was a color. So, some of them were pretty obvious, September was gold because we have aspen leaves in our area. Christmas was green. No, March was green. February we were going to do red, but we wanted to do that for something else, so we did pink. Now, it's not always good to be one of my friends because we had 2 dances that month, and mine was the Back to the Fuchsia. And I just had some fun with it, and I went and found some music from the thing, and then I just played like music from the future, music from the past, and just had a good time with it. But my friend Jeff Palmer, unbeknownst to him, when we did the themes, his theme was pretty in pink. And they made him a pink tutu. My club loves to do little things like that. So, so they had outfits for him to wear and everything else. He did great. He came in with pink Cadillac and had things to go with the pink things. And the food was all pink. And so it was just a fun thing. And all of a sudden, we have a Denver area square dance bulletin. We put these things in there. And some people get it and they read it and they do it. And some other people get there and go, oh, I forgot. It's not a big deal, But to have the overall theme to those things, it just brings it ties it together once again. And you got the dancers interacting with the caller and bridging that gap a little bit. And they're teaming up together, thinking about the things they can do to us. And I always remind them that I always end up with a microphone later. So don't push it too far. But, and that makes them team up together to work together to do these things. Moving along, because we want to do this, we have, in Denver, we're very progressive in some different things. We have a lot of different groups working on different ideas of how to do lessons. And it's very impressive. We've got some people doing some traditional lessons, some people doing twice-a-week lessons. We've got some people who are doing a beginning and intermediate and advanced type just to get through mainstream and breaking them up and doing a lot of things. And we've got a thing called The Nest that we've took from Ohio and are trying in Denver. And it's very interesting is that has a different aspect to the angels. Because usually your angels are the same dancers that come all the time, all year long. And a lot of times you talked last year students who are still struggling to come be your angels for your next class. Well, the Nest, we do it a little different. We actually we have actually 4, but we do 3 different nights. So this Monday night, Club A, Rolling Wheels, is going to supply the angels for our Nest program. And so instead of having whatever they bring, we ask them to bring their best dancers. Because when the dancers leave this thing, they don't have any club affiliation. So when they come, they want to see the best dancers, your most friendly people coming and being your angels for it. If you have people we told them, if you have people who needs to go through lessons again, bring them down. We'll be glad to work with them. But bring your best, smilest people who are going to be in the right place when they're dancing, because that's what these people can remember is this person was fun to dance with. I want to go dance with that club when they get done. And boy, I had a good time when I danced with them. And they wear their club badges. The next week, we don't ask that club to bring angels. We ask Club B, the Mountaineers, to bring the angels. So they bring their best people to those classes. And it's amazing to see the difference in my classes now. Instead of having very weak dancers being the angels that we've dealt with over the years, we're seeing some very good dancers come be our angels. What a difference to new dancers. You know, to have the very best of what you have being their angels. But once again, they're coming in, and so all of a sudden when Club B comes in the Mountaineers, they've talked, they're going to bring little refreshments, they're going to do this, they're going to do that, because once again, they want to be social with these new people. And it's a win-win for the people coming in and the clubs trying to figure out how to do that. And it's kind of nice because then only about once a month do you come an angel, the group. And so you don't get the burnout you see with a lot of clubs. We run lessons. We started in October. We're still running. We'll go through June, and then we'll take a break and start back in July. But we can do it all the time. We have multiple callers. We have multiple narrators, and we have varying angels. And now we're having more clubs come on board so we can actually get that. But what a difference when angels come to class because they really want to and because they think they're doing something for their club instead of going, I've got to go to lessons again tonight. You know, they get to now at this point. And it's a little bit different. So I don't want to get stuck on that. But do you want to talk again? Because I've been talking a while. She's really pretty. I'd rather listen to her anyway.
Oh, thank you, sir. One of the other things that came to mind is if you're looking for events to have a club social activity, is a game night. You can't sit the whole club at one game, but you can have, again, competition. Everybody loves competition, and I'm the winner, and I hold the reins. You know, I'm the one that won the event. And if you have a large enough area, depending on how many people you're bringing in, you set up tables for 4 people to play. So you have a number of game tables, and everybody comes in and they pick their game table. They don't necessarily know what game's going to be on that table because you haven't put those out yet. And we researched a lot of games that we could find that would give us, even if they were stopped in the middle of the game, you could tell who was ahead, who was first, second, third, or fourth. There's one called Stop. If I remember right, Casey, it's called Stop. Rail barons. They're working their way across country on a railroad, so whoever made it the furthest across country at that point. There's lots of games out there, and once they sit down at their table, you can put the game on the table, and now the games stay there, and they get 10, 15 minutes to play. You know, they've got to take a little while to learn, so they've got to have a little learning time at each game, but they get a limited amount of time. Buzzer rings, everybody has to get up, move to another table. You can't come back to the same table, and you can't sit with the same people. You can't move as a foursome to another table. You have to mix. So you can't come back to the table. You can't sit with the same people. And eventually, towards the end, you start to sit with a few of the same people, but it mixes them up. They have to talk. They have to work together, but they want to win. And at the end of the night, somebody goes around when the bell rings, and you tally, this person got a first, this one's second, this one's third. You count how many firsts they got, how many seconds they got, and you make an outcome of who won for the night. And you could make an ongoing, this year so-and-so won, or this year they were first, they were second, and make a game out of it. You give them a funny hat. You give them something, you know, that lets them know they've won. I was listening to the session this morning, and she was talking about cards and different things, and I thought, how many people nowadays are involved in the scrapbooking card-making craze? Why can't those, maybe ladies that are interested in that, they get together? The husbands can come together with it as a club event. The guys can cut paper to certain sizes. Some guys can use the punch and punch things. Some people can stick it together.
Which guys are you talking about?
Any guy. You're capable of cutting a straight line, I'm sure. If not, I'll teach you. So you could have a I don't trust you. A card-making evening. And, again, it's just a social activity with something maybe some of them are really good at. And there's some amazing card-making people out there, scrapbooking people. And then when the club wants to send a birthday card or send it, it's made by the club. You could put that on it. Made by the such and such a club. So you build more activities that they can do together. Somebody maybe that's never tried scrapbooking or card making finds, wow, I really liked this. I'm going to talk to her more about doing some of those things. And you get the conversation going again. It's about them learning to know each other and what they like. Your turn.
Squirrel. I really like your earrings. Sorry.
You can wear them. They're not pierced. They would fit you.
That one's pierced. Go ahead.
It's not pierced.
But my ears.
Mine aren't.
Wait a minute. This one is.
Talk.
Oh. I'm easily distracted, so it's one of those things. What are we talking about? Social glue. Okay, good. Ow.
Your ear's bigger than mine.
Surprise. Ow, ow, ow. Thank you. We're talking about doing a lot of things outside of square dancing sometimes to really bring the club together. And she's talking about that. We do a couple things during the year. My first club we really started in ever that I have is plus.com, which is a Wednesday night square dance group who got together because they want to dance. So we don't have snacks. We don't have officers. We come in and dance. There's no banner stealing. There's no nothing. They come to dance for dancing. But usually when we finish dancing, we're out of there in 10 minutes, so there's not that social time. You get other places. They're there to dance between tips. There isn't as long breaks because it's really all about the dancing. So we've arranged for other things we do during the year. We go out at Christmas time there's a dinner show playhouse that we go to. We go to some movies. We'll have every summer we have a luau where we usually do a pig in the ground and do the whole 9 yards. The club pays for all the food. We bring some other refreshments in. But those are our times to really bond the club then, because at our club dances, because of the situation, we can't bond in other ways. My other Saturday night club, we'll go out to dinner before. People are invited that want to come. Everybody kind of knows there's going to be a dinner before at some restaurant that we change. And then we almost always go out to Applebee's afterwards. For those of you who have Applebee's in your area, you probably know the half-price appetizers after 9 o'clock. Yeah, we're addicted to those. And they're supposed to be in the bar area only, but if you have to know them very well and you have bad knees, they'll let you sit in any area that you want and get the appetizers as well. You don't have to sit in the bar. I know how to break all the rules. So, we're not surprised. Yeah, you're not surprised? How come you don't trust me? Oh, sorry. I know. Okay, good. But anyway, so somehow building that outside relationships builds the club stronger. This club started in 2001, 2002. It's a Wednesday night club. We average 8 squares per week at our dances. We started off with 16 people in the club originally, and it's grown. We have 140 members. Some of those people only come once a year. And some of them don't dance anymore, but they still want to be part of the social thing, so they always come to luau, they come to the dinners we do, and it's very important to us to include those people. So my email lists are extensive, but we have 140 members, and we have another list of 100 other people who have belonged to the club but don't dance, but we still stay in contact with. And I think that's very important when you talk about that, is including those people, because once they quit dancing, you don't want to lose them for that social aspect, because a lot of people, that's what brings them into our activity, and we want to keep them, and that's that glue that we're talking about, and we need to keep that somehow. But we really want to have things that are going to engage our dancers at the same time when we're going. Pam, Sharon, I've been doing a lot of talking, and I know you're very smart and have some cool things. So,
one of the things I can talk about is
ow, 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 ow.
while Sharon tortures Bear. One of the clubs that Barry calls for regularly, they do a lot of theme nights as well. I mean, for an example, we had one of the worst winters. Well, we did have the worst winter in over 20 years in Toronto. More snow, more cold, more miserable. So in the middle of February, when we're all so sick of shoveling and everything else, it's like, let's have a Hawaiian shirt dance. And everybody just put on a Hawaiian shirt. And they decorate. They decorate for everything. The dollar store is your best friend for these. You can get so much stuff there for next to nothing, and make it all cheap and cheerful, as we say. And people get prizes. They regularly give out prizes. Usually it's a $5 coffee card. But there is something to be won. And that is a big deal. You'd probably do like a Dunkin' Donuts or something. We do Tim Hortons, same big deal. It's the same thing, and that's all it is. It's a $5 coffee card. So it costs the club next to nothing. And it brings out a lot more people. They're getting a lot more people out to the club dances because of this. And the callers are warned. They sort of rotate. They have a few callers in the club. Barry's one of them. And they rotate through. And so the callers are warned a week or two ahead what the theme is going to be. I mean, it's advertised as well, but they sort of make a point of letting the callers know. So they, again, for the Hawaiian shirt dance, they'll pull out some Hawaiian music, some whatever, and they'll get their music to go with the theme and things like that. So what I'd like to do now, we've got about halfway through, is I know, because I've done this panel before, that you guys have as many good ideas as we do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these guys share this microphone, and I will come around with the wireless microphone. And please state your name and where you're from, because this session is being recorded. And
my name is Bear Miller, and I'm from Denver, Colorado.
Thank you, Bear. So so does anybody have anything to suggest and to add? We've got other stuff we can talk about, but we'd much rather hear from you guys.
My name is Claudia Littlefair, and I'm from Strathmore, Alberta. And one thing, yay.
Hey.
And one thing we do on our celebration of our new dancer night is I make a punch, and it's a celebration punch. The punch bowl represents the hall. The ice in the punch, and I add it as I'm talking, represents like ice is very strong, and it's the foundation of the punch, so that becomes the executive members, and I can name them off by name. And then I add cranberry juice, and that represents all our square angels that come, and that gives us a time to mention them by name and what they add to the punch. And then there might be some other ingredients, but the special ingredients become the new dancers, and each one of them adds their own flavor to the punch. Like we might have one person who's always smiling and laughing and has a very warm presence, so they're going to be the pineapple in the punch. Someone who's unusual might be the pomegranate blueberry juice in the punch. So these ingredients get added to the punch, and the final ingredient is ginger ale. And ginger ale is sparkling, and it's see-through. And it represents something that you can't see, but is there every night. And that's the enjoyment and the fun that we experience during the year. And then we toast with that punch, and it's left out for the rest of the evening. So I think that's a way to recognize, give credit, and to bring together a community feeling.
That is a wonderful inclusionary idea for everybody. And I like the idea. I know there's disagreement about whether you graduate new dancers. This welcoming them, because I know some areas feel that they want people to feel that they're part of the club as soon as the first night they take that first circle left, they're part of the club. So people don't want to graduate them into the club. Others like the graduation ceremony. So this would work either way. It's terrific. Yeah. Anybody else?
I'm Barb Smith, and I'm from Calgary, Alberta.
Okay, who in this room is not from Canada?
And we work with a singles solos group in Calgary, and the last couple of years they have developed monthly luncheons for all of those that can make it. So once a month they gather on a second Tuesday, they all go for lunch, and they rotate restaurants throughout the city. That's one of the things they've been doing. And then this last year they've started to look at an evening event, and so we've been doing dinner theater once a year now, and we get together as a group and go.
Thanks, Barb. Anybody else? Any other ideas? You've got to have lots of them.
Oh, thank God, Rick. I was going to have to talk some more. They're tired of me.
Casey Parker, Manteca, California. One of the other things that we do, or that we did, was, I'm sure a lot of you do, the Christmas party, gift exchange, and where you draw the number, and the first one can go pick a gift. The second one can either pick a new gift or steal from that person. And that started off real good. And about the second year, there was this one gift that was a real pink elephant. I mean, it wasn't a pink elephant, but I mean, it was one of those gifts. And guess what? It kept coming back every year. And we actually put a parchment page together, and we started keeping track of who got it every year. Sort of a prize. And did you talk about X?
X-rated? No. X. I mentioned sending cards out as a club. When they started picking on us in full force, I had to get even. No. And it just kind of happened. And I was at the dollar store grabbing things, and they had this stack of really cute Halloween cards. I said, gotta use these for something. I don't know what I'm going to do. And it wasn't Halloween time, so I took them home. And all their rigmarole started, and I said, okay, I'm going to send them all a Halloween card. But I don't want them to know it's from me. So I opened each card, and I wrote, Happy Halloween with a really shaky hand. And I said, I can't sign it. So I made a big shaky X on the bottom, sealed it up, put it in the envelope, scribbled kind of very shakily their address and name on the front. I didn't want them to know it was me. They'd recognize my handwriting. Put a stamp on it, mailed them all to a friend of mine in another town, or gave them to her when I saw her sometimes. I said, mail these from up there, would you please? Okay. So they mailed them home. Everybody got their card. They came to class. They didn't know where the card was from. They'd been talking around to all their neighbors and their friends. I got this strange thing in the mail. They finally figured out it was connected to the Square Dance Club. And I had one person who didn't get theirs because it was like, did you get one? Did you get one? You could see this going on. I'm trying to hold it back. And this one couple didn't get with it. Theirs was delayed a week. They came in the next week and go, I got mine. Okay, they were included. So I thought that was pretty well. I got them their attention, got them conversing again. So I did it again for another date. And it developed thoroughly to the point that we really got highly involved. We started at different events in the year. In the middle of the night, we would have this little treat. We'd make a little treat and go drop it off on their doorknob at their house because they all lived in the proximity of us. Grew until Thanksgiving time, and we delivered pumpkin pies to them. A little Boy Scout from down the street, the lady's car from across the street, because they'd know all our cars, and my father, in a woman's wig and a shape, driving like this. He'd drive up, the little Boy Scout would run to the door with the pumpkin pie, knock on the door, give him the pie, says, Happy Thanksgiving, and get back in the car, and Dad'd tear out, because they didn't want him to know who he was. They talked about those pumpkin pies for a long time. You can do events where they don't know they're coming. They all have mystery trips, right? Mystery bus trips. Why can't you plan a mystery social event? They don't know where they're going. They don't know what they're doing. We went to a live concert our group did with Randy Travis and the Judds. And we said, we're going to go. There's an event coming on this date, this time. We need this much money. If you want to go, you don't know where you're going. We met. Somebody collected the money. We knew who the reservation. They had to RSVP, turn in their money. Money was collected. And they met on a certain corner where we could park cars, to carpool where we could. And we drove off and kept following the leader. And we got over an hour and a half, 2 hours away. We went to this concert. We lined up, got our chairs, got our seats. They didn't know who was performing till they got there and saw the venue and what was happening. Had one of the best times. But it was a mystery social event instead of a mystery dance event.
Ken?
While you're taking it over there, let me add on just for a second while you're walking that over there. Sharon's very nice, but she's not quite as devious as some of us.
Oh, give me some hints.
Because I would have received that same letter that you got with the X, and I'd have been bringing it and showing them mine, that I receive too, so I would automatically not be a suspect. So you go in with your own and make sure that they know that. The other thing is, how many of you don't have people who pick on the dancers don't pick on the collar? How many from areas where that actually doesn't happen? Because I know some clubs in Denver it actually doesn't happen. You can train them. Let me give you the disclaimer now, okay? Be careful when you do, because as they learn, you'll get their things. But you can start off by suggesting they do it with a collar that you know is safe to do it with. Give them some ideas to do to them. If it has a special theme, the Pretty in Pink or something like that, give them something to work with. Because as soon as they start getting the idea of how to do that stuff and how much fun it is and the reaction the collar has, and you always pick one to start with, it's going to have the fun reaction with them. Make sure that you get them involved in that, and then watch the snowball start going down the hill. Or as a caller, traveling caller, sometimes guys like Daryl and stuff, if you know a guy is coming in town behind you, leave gifts for them. I mean, let them know they're struggling on the road and things are tight in the square dance world. And so, he's really been collecting cans of stew to have on the road. And so when Daryl comes to dance next time in 2 weeks, because they announced he was going to be there, don't say anything. Just go up and on the table sometime tonight and bring him a can of any more stew or whatever kind of stew you have, and just bring it up there and leave it for him. And then all of a sudden you look on the table up there, and by then in the evening, there's 20 cans of stew, and Daryl's wondering what happened, and then they ask, "Who called your last dance?" But once again, you get the dancers engaged in that kind of activity. Or I always tell people around this time that my friend Roger loves black jelly beans, but only black ones. And so they bring him black jelly beans to the dances when he's in town. The hard one is when you tell him some other color beside, because you can buy bags of black ones. You give him a color like blue. He likes blue jelly beans. People go out, packages and take those out of those and put them into a bag. And you get there, and Roger doesn't even ask anymore. He just says, "Bear was here?" Which is even better, because then the dancers don't have any responsibility. The blame is on me for the bad thing, and everybody has a good laugh, and they really enjoy it, and they've come together. Once again, you bridge that thing between the caller and the dancers.
I'm just as devious as you are. I had a card. I had a pie. I had all of that too, dear.
Yeah, Ken Sale from Castro Valley, California. A group I call for in Oakland used to do the gift exchange, and the excitement level wasn't really there. And one of the dancers came up with an idea that I think improved it immensely. Fixed the problem of people being stuck carrying junk home with them. Changed the game stayed the same. There's a couple different games they do, but the rule is you have to bring a toy, and Children's Hospital hauls them all away at the end of the night. Lots of folks like it much better.
And people will be children and play with the toys and play with each other too. So it gets people involved in a social way.
My name is Ann Moore, and I'm from North Carolina. And we also do the game nights. We meet every third month at someone's home, and we play the games. We have a covered dish, and at Christmas time we have a big special party. And we do pretty much what you do, except we don't play a game with it. We collect toys for Tots. And this has gone over very well, because we used to play the game, and it seemed like people were not as interested in it. But when we said we wanted to collect toys for Tots, it really went over very big. And so this way, we're doing something for the community, and it's just a part of giving.
Thanks, Ann.
I'm Audrey Elias from Edmonton, Alberta. Our association, our Edmonton Association, every year has a toy dance. Everybody brings a toy, and we get all menus involved, squares, rounds, clogging, and community dance program. Pardon me. And it has turned out to be really a lot of fun. Thank you.
Thanks. I mean, this is just literally off the top of my head, it's just as I was listening to you people. these are great ideas for Christmas and stuff, but why not another time of year? Like the muscular dystrophy thing at Easter time. Do you have that in the States? Like you have big muscular dystrophy drives around Easter time. I mean, get your club involved in doing something like that. I mean, and working together. The fun is great, but the social aspect of working together for a good cause can also really bring the club together.
I know Washington State has, I don't know where the rest area is. Susan Healy is here from CALLERLAB, our new executive administrator that's coming in. And her clubs in her area there's a rest area where certain times a year, like the holidays when there's so many people on the road and you stay awake kind of drives, they have a booth there that they give away coffee and they book their hours as individuals in the club, but the club mans it for the whole weekend, and that's a club event that they worry about taking care of. So community service, there's lots of options for that.
Mike Turner, Wichita, Kansas. I'm going to give equal time to the southern part of the hemisphere and say one thing.
Is
that
Kansas south?
Much farther south than Alberta.
Y'all don't say y'all.
The thought that we do at least once a year is a pool party in the summertime. Get the club members together. And whether it's our pool or one of the other club members' pools, it's always a good time to have a good potluck dinner, as well as, they always seem to want to dance in the pool. So, if you're a caller, you better be prepared to go into the water.
Yeah, some of us make a bigger splash than others.
Do you have a dangle that you give them? Of course. Good.
Real quick before we go there, if that's okay. Sometimes the social aspect, we're all laughing and grinning and smiling, but sometimes there's a more serious aspect to our social parts. Let me give you two examples. We had, quite a few years ago, we lost some reason we lose square dancers and go to funerals. And it really bothered me. I went to like 3 in a row, and the minister and the priest didn't know them. And you go to those, and they just talk, and they just read the paper. And it really disturbed me a lot. And I had a friend who was, at the time, becoming an ordained minister through an online thing to do weddings. And so I went online, I did the same thing, but now I do weddings and funerals. So around Denver, if you don't have somebody who is your priest that you've known for a long time or something, I will go in and do the funeral, because those are bonding times for square dancers as well. And it's a very important social thing to be able to be at that funeral and share that grief and mourning together. And a lot of the ones that I've done now have included a memorial tip at the end of it. And we try to find out, or we know what their favorite song was, and that's the song we're going to do afterwards. And so on the other end of that same social thing, we take the serious end of it as well. Now, we talk about doing some community service kind of things. This year we're going to be dancing on Coors Field for the 4th year, which is very cool. We go out and do it. We have 8 minutes of time. We have to have it recorded, and they go out and dance on the field right before a Sunday afternoon game. And it used to be we were like an hour and a half before the game, so there was nobody in the stands. Now we're 10 minutes before the game starts, and so we have a lot of people in the stands. So we have, and they made us a deal when we first started doing this. We get tickets on the third base line on the lower level for $10 a ticket. And this year, a friend of mine had a great idea as a community service project to do some fundraising and pick a kids organization of some kind, whatever your group wanted to buy tickets, raise some money, and bring them tickets to that game for the families who have used that service or whatever they needed to at that point. This last fall, my granddaughter, she was at daycare, and she was in her car seat, and I got set by the stove, and the stove got turned on somehow, and eventually came on fire, and had a very serious burn on her back. And Children's Hospital was absolutely phenomenal on what they did for her. And so we decided to take the money that we've raised, and we have over $4,000 we've raised to give people tickets for that have touched that. And that organization, and the same children's hospital, we have another couple in our family, in our square dance family, who their granddaughter at 4 years old, had a heart transplant. My granddaughter was 10 months old when this happened. She's very happy. She's 15 months old now. She has had a skin graft done and is healing very well. She'll have a scar the rest of her life. But it meant a lot to have the square dance family come together. And
we had a similar event. We had one of our leaders in our association got very ill, and there was a number of us that bonded together, and her clubs, they were members of her club, one of them sitting here in this room, and we would take food. We would make sure he had all the things because they had no family close by. And so if you know the members of your club and you know what resources they have, you have to talk to them. You have to get to know them so that you can help them if in a time of need. You never know what that time is or when it's going to occur. But we need to be there for each other. And it's that they'll remember. And even if a person leaves your club, if they've felt a part of somebody in that club, they may be keeping contact with them. You know that they didn't leave because they were mad at somebody or they had a bad encounter. Maybe they can't physically dance, but there's somebody there to at least check on them and to be concerned about them at that initial time that they're leaving. And you have a better idea how social your club is at that point, how close they are by how they help each other on the outside world. Okay.
Lee Ashwell. I wish I was from Victoria, BC, but I'm actually from Salem, Oregon.
I'm glad you're from Oregon, Lee.
And Sharon, if you want to get even with retribution to your club, have a stew dinner and combine different types of stew, but serve it in tin cans and have a paper bag with all kinds of kitchen utensils in. And when they get their stew, they have to reach in there, get a utensil, and eat with it. When they're eating with a potato masher or tongs, it's a great evening of fun.
I'm even more glad you're from the USA now.
Casey Parker, Manteca, California. Our clubs, both around and square dance, used to dance in the senior center for a number of years. And because our clubs were part of the Parks and Recreation Department, we got to use it free of charge. So to pay back to the senior center what we would do yearly, they would have some sort of function for the seniors. One year it was a dinner. So our club came and we dressed up and we were the waiters and waitresses and delivered the food and all that. Another year was a casino night, so we were dealing the cards, everything else, but it was a club activity, and we were also, it was a lot of fun with the seniors.
Priscilla Davis from Colbert, Washington, up by Spokane. We used to live here from 95 to 2006, and Doug called for a couple of clubs, and we decided that we would do something in our house. And so we came up with the idea of a Triple D dance, which was dinner and dancing with the Davises. And so we sent out invitations, and we did a flyer, and the first couple of years it was just our couple of clubs. But then all the other clubs of the Federation got wind of it, of course, and so it grew. And people just bought for potluck, and then we danced on our deck or out in the yard, played some games, and it was just a lot of fun. And it brought all the clubs together then that way, too. And what was surprising then is coming here this year, we came in early to spend time with our friends from North Carolina. And they had asked Doug if he would call a dance for them while he was here. And it was our advanced dancers that we used to call for mostly. And they got it all set up and everything and said, we're going to have a potluck. Well, when we got there, what did they do? But they put balloons with DDD on it. And so they remembered, and they still are doing things together. So it was great.
Mike Turner again. Our local college association, to keep people at the dance for the full evening, created a program called the Last Tip Dangle, which is a program where you award the dancers with a little small quarter by slightly more than a quarter-inch by quarter-inch dangle with each caller's initials on it. Each participating caller passes these out at the end of their dance for the people who stuck around for the end of the dance. Toward the end of August, we then, for those people who have collected the designated number of dangles, we have a dinner for them. Initially, it was barbecue. That got to be a little expensive. So now, our Color Association, we purchased turkeys and have a full turkey dinner and dance for all those dancers who participated in the program. And it's been a great success, and it keeps people around for a full dance.
Because I have heard of this same program in John and Deborah Carroll Jones have done it in their area too. So this is a proven success ticket because they've had good success with it in their area as well. So, did you have something?
I'm Judy Grossnickel, and I'm from Kansas, and the last square standing is, well, not the last square standing, but the last tip. It is successful, and the dancers like to see how many they can collect. And so then there's kind of a competition among the dancers to see how many you can get on your badge.
You're not? One other little thing I can throw in, at a dance. Occasionally, if things are kind of, no matter what you do, the floor is kind of flat and trying to build them up. And one of the things that we do, because I frequently dance, when Barry's calling, I'm frequently on the floor. I love to dance. I love the people. He'll pick on me or I'll pick on him. Sometimes the dancers think we're going to go home to a battle royal. But we do this, and it gets, like, I particularly, because when he's traveling, he generally is calling in, a lot of times anyway, is calling in the challenge programs. So people are more involved in the choreography. Well, I'll scream about some piece of choreography I think was not very good or gave me whiplash or whatever stupid thing I can say. But it gets the dancers involved. Then they start picking sides or whatever. And again, it'll lift the floor, and next thing you know, people are laughing and having a good time. And that's really what you want them to. It doesn't matter what program you're dancing, you want them to be having a good time. So there's something that, use a shill, be your partner, be it whatever, but I'm a happy shill.
The theme of this convention is make something happen. And anything that we do and it comes out starts with a smile on our face. And if we're smiling and doing it as callers, if we come across the microphone as smiling and our voice is that way, they're going to be smiling as well. So when the first thing you can do when you go back to your home clubs is to put on that smile when you walk in, no matter what else has happened in your life. You put the smile on, and this is what you are. And then usually you're going to feel better about it as well. But if you walk in and you can make that smile, you're going to make something happen.
Okay. Dangle skirts. Those of you that have been to Oklahoma's convention notice that a lot of Kansas dancers have dangle skirts on. What we did to Bear was, what did we do to you?
What she's talking about, have you seen the Zumba outfits that they put the little jingle skirts on? They're inexpensive. They're fun to do. You can buy them online. If you buy them in wholesale, they're cheap. So we buy some, and they're $10 a piece to sell. They're very inexpensive. But Sue Dillery was selling them there, and so naturally now Call of Colorado has them as well because we brought them home. But anyway, so we have Mountain Magic, which is 4 of us who call together, and so Debbie buys one, and that's great. So they had a little session on how to dance with them and stuff, and Sue can belly dance and all those kind of things. So she was teaching Debbie. The cool thing about the jingle skirts is you don't have to do any of that. It's like a fishing lure. As you walk, the jingle happens, the heads turn. It's just a natural reaction, okay? You don't have to do anything to be anything that happen. But then they decided that there's four of us, one beautiful lady, Debbie, and then my friend Jeff Palmer, and my friend Roger Chappelle, and me. And they decided we all needed to wear jingle skirts on the stage. Now, if you want to see an interesting thing, it's still on Jeff's Facebook page, I said. But Jeff has a nighttime job that we didn't know about it because he made those jingle skirts do things that those jingle skirts should not do. And naturally, whoever was there when this happened was rolling on the floors, laughing. And jingle sales went down that night because after seeing us, they're like, oh my goodness. But we've brought those home to Denver, and everywhere we travel now, we take those with us. And they're just fun things to do. And once again, they're cheap, inexpensive. You can buy one, black or white one, and they come in all colors. And my wife has like 30 of them now. So. But anyway, they're just very fun, and they were just spectacular. Let us to put those on us, and Jeff made it a real show. Somehow, me in a jingle skirt and moving.
Why didn't you bring it here?
I thought you wanted to be a beautiful basics. No.
Anybody else? We've got some great ideas coming out. Anything else?
One event we have in Strathmore is a barn dance, and friends of ours, square dance friends of ours, are also members of the Prairie Mountain Fiddlers in Calgary. So we have them come out, and we meaning our square dance club, and any money that we raise that night goes to Children's Wish, because that's an association that I'm associated with. So we had our first barn dance last summer. We sold over 200 tickets to the community. And we sold popcorn and watermelon in a cup and homemade cookies for food. And we had a community barn dance and did some very simple square dancing with them as well. So that was really good exposure for our club.
Great idea, yeah.
As callers, cuers, in my case, it's important that the dancers in your group also know that you appreciate them. And sometimes it's hard to think of ways to do that. One of the ways we did that to keep them that knowledge that we do care, that they're there, we do appreciate they're there, we want them there, is that we created a ticket and had some verbiage on it that it was a ticket for from us. And at our home club, we had a treasure box that I had made with gold-painted rocks and pearls and coins and like a treasure trove. The lid would open up, and there was a slot in the top cover of the bottom piece, and they could put their tickets, write their name on the back, and put their ticket in the treasure box. There's a treasure ticket. And anywhere we went and worked in this activity, we took our treasure tickets. And any of our home dancers that followed us to support us at that event got a ticket for being there. And when they got home, they could put it in the treasure box. And one, it made people wonder what was going on. And we tried to keep it private because I'm not there for somebody to want to come to my club. If they choose to, that's fine. But they're not, I don't want to steal anybody's dancers in that respect. And I wanted to support. So we would always do this very quietly in the corner. Come here, I got something for you. And we kind of kept it private within our club members. And what we would do at one point of the year, we would have the treasure box party. And I would, through the year, I would buy little trinkets, some not so little trinkets. I would buy things that I found for a really good price that was a nice gift. Handmade carved wooden clocks, little odds and ends kitchen tools that were different than you find. You know, there was a pickle opener they fought over for a long time, pickle jar opener. But we would take those and we would put them in a brown paper sack, fold the top over, and write a number, and we would number all the brown paper sacks. And it would come time at our party and it was a dance party for our club members. You had to be present to win. It was a day on us. There was no charge to them. And we would start drawing their numbers. And as their number came up, they could come up and pick a numbered bag and see what they got. And we had like 100, 150 bags. So we were sure everybody was going. I mean, the table was covered with brown bags. And most of it I'd paid very, very little for. But spreading that out through the process of a year of buying, it was lunch money every now and then I'd spend on the gifts for the party. And they were so excited, and there was always this one last bigger brown paper, grocery bag, brown paper bag, folded over. And there was one ticket drawn at the very end that one lucky person got, And it became a regular event. Are we going to get our ticket tonight? We're here. Are we going to get our ticket tonight? Come to a club, club dance, club workshop, anywhere we were working, either one of us. They got a ticket. And you talked about PR.
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes, so quick.
PR is very important. Sometimes when you're working, you can't. We were lucky enough to have a little child that likes to talk to people. And I'm a school teacher, so you always give the kids something to do to keep them busy. She had to learn that we weren't there to take care of her. She had to take care of herself from about 2 up. And we gave her a blanket, said, here's your corner, stay there. If the music's playing, you're on the blanket. Music stops playing, you can wander around the perimeter of the chair. She got to be 3 or 4. We gave her a job. We said, you're the PR person. Your job when that music stops is to go talk to everybody around the hall. Go talk to them. Say hi, how you doing, and keep walking. Just say hi to everybody. And she managed to get a personality that she likes to talk to people, and she's very open about that. But it benefited us too, because she was our PR person. You never know what you can do to get that public relations to the people.
Okay, well, I think we are just about out of time, so I want to thank you all for coming. I hope you've got I think there's been some great ideas. We do have a couple of handouts here. One of them is from I think it's from the caller training thing about what sociability. The other one is sort of just a bunch of points that might give you some hints as to things that you might want to think about for using for social things. So I want to thank Bear and Sharon for some wonderful ideas as well, and thank all of you.
If I can end this, she talks about her little daughter. She's a spectacular young lady and who happens to be a fabulous caller. Her name is Ashley Parker. And get out and hear something. She just got to do a dance a weekend ago with the Ghostwriters and Tony Oxendine. That was the dance. So she is fabulous. Also, you don't know how prestigious this session was, because to become moderator for this session, you have to sleep with the chairman.
Thanks, Bear.
Great job, Pam. Thank you so much.
Thank you.